Today in this video, let us learn about the hybridization. See, in this video, we learn about some of the molecules which undergo hybridization. In the previous video, we have seen the valence bond theory. Now in this video, we'll see why hybridization was introduced. So before going into the concept of hybridization, let us have a look why hybridization was introduced. See, in the previous video, we have learnt about the Lewis dot structures and the valence share electron pair repulsion theory for some molecules like beryllium chloride, boron trifluoride, like that. So once again here, I would like to take beryllium chloride and boron trifluoride uh, and write the electronic configuration and see the need for the hybridization. So beryllium, here its atomic number is 4 and the configuration is 1s2 2s2. In the excited state, the s electron will go to the 2px. Okay, and chlorine, if you take, its atomic number is 17 and its electronic configuration will be 2 8 7, that is 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s2 3px2 3py2 and 3pz1. Now if you look at the configuration here, beryllium in the excited state, it is having two unpaired electrons, one in the 2s orbital and another one in the 2px orbital. So it can form two bonds. So whenever if beryllium forms two bonds with the two chlorines, the one bond will be a sigma 2s 3p due to the overlap of the 2s orbital with the 3pz orbital. And the other sigma bond will be between 2p and 3p due to the overlap of 2px orbital and the 3pz orbital. So that means one of the bond is sigma 2s 3p and the other bond is sigma 2p 3p. So that means here you are finding that the two bonds are not same. That means the strength of the two bonds is not same because of the difference in the overlap of the orbitals. Here the overlap is between 2s 3p, here 2p 3p. Okay, so that means the strength of the two bonds must be different, but it was found that the two bonds, that is the bond between beryllium and chlorine, formed due to the overlap of 2s3p and 2p 3p should be different, but it was found to be same. And the angle between the chlorine, beryllium and chlorine, the angle between them was found to be 180 degrees. So to overcome such a discrepancy, hybridization was introduced. Let us see the hybridization. In order to explain the discrepancies, Linus Pauling introduced the term hybridization. So in order to explain the variations, that means we have seen that the two bond strengths of beryllium chloride are different, but but it was found that they have the same strength and the bond angle is 180 degrees. So in order to explain such discrepancies, Linus Pauling introduced the phenomenon called the hybridization. And also, in order to explain the characteristic geometrical shapes of polyatomic molecules like methane, ammonia, water, etc., the concept of hybridization was introduced by him. Now we'll define what do you mean by hybridization. Hybridization is nothing but it is the process of intermixing of the orbitals of slightly different energies so as to redistribute their energies, resulting in the formation of new set of orbitals of equivalent energies and shape. So the orbitals, get intermix, and it will give rise to new set of orbitals which are of equal energies and the shapes. Some important conditions are there for hybridization. We have to follow certain conditions uh, while going through that is while the orbitals are getting mixing up. See, the first one is the orbitals that are present in the valence shell of the atoms are hybridized. That means during the hybridization, we'll see that only the orbitals that are present in the valence shell participate. And the other one is during a hybridization, the orbital should have almost equal energy. That means they should not have the energy difference very much. Here we have a slightly different. That means almost they are of equal energy. And then the third one is the promotion of the electron is not an essential condition before hybridization. And the fourth one is even the filled orbitals of the valence shell take part sometimes. Why? Because half-filled orbitals participate in the hybridization, and in some cases you will find that even the filled orbitals also take part in hybridization. So these are some important conditions for the hybridization. Now we'll see some examples where the orbitals are undergoing the hybridization. There are different types of hybridizations depending on the number of valence shell orbitals intermixing, and then what type of orbitals they are intermixing, like sp hybridization, sp2 hybridization, sp3 hybridization, sp3d, sp3d2, like that. But in this video I am explaining only few of them. So the first type of hybridization is I'm taking is sp hybridization, and the example is beryllium chloride, BeCl2. Say beryllium, its atomic number is 4 and its electronic configuration is 1s2 2s2. In the excited state, we'll see that the s electron will go to the p orbital. So you will find 2s1 and then 2px1. And in the chlorine, see here in the, that is the 2s electron which is having paired electrons, one electron will go to the excited state. This is the ground state where you are finding that p orbitals are empty, 2p orbital is empty, px or py bed, all of the three are empty, but in this orbital you are finding 2 electrons in the ground state. So when they are excited, the s electron, this is the 2s orbital, the 2s, that is the second electron of 2s orbital, will go to the 2p orbital. This is the 2p orbital, this is the electron. So in the excited state, they have single electrons, one in 2s orbital and the other in 2p orbital. These two orbitals, they intermix, giving rise to two equivalent orbitals. These two equivalent orbitals, they are called as hybrid orbitals, as 1s and 1p are intermixing, they give rise to two equivalent orbitals. This is the sp hybrid orbital. And you'll have two empty p orbitals. These are the two empty p orbitals which have not undergone any hybridization. So in beryllium atom, in its excited state, you're finding that the s electron is excited, that is the s electron will enter into the 2px orbital. So you are having the two unpaired electrons, but the energy levels are slightly different. So they intermix and then give rise to equivalent, redistribute their energies and then give rise to two equivalent hybrid orbitals. And then because one s and one p, it is participating for the intermixing, it is called as the sp hybridization, as 1s and 1p, that is here px orbitals are intermixing. That type of hybridization is called as a sp hybridization. Now we'll see the orbitals, how they are hybridized, and then um, what type of bonds they can form. So the number of hybrid orbitals are 2. Why? Because 1s and 1p intermixing, so it is giving rise to 2 sp hybrid orbitals. See, in beryllium chloride, we have seen in beryllium one s orbital and then one px orbital. They are intermixing, x-axis, y-axis, and then this is the z-axis, and the s orbital. This is 2s orbital of beryllium, and then p orbital. You will see that is the px orbital, which is going to intermix with the s orbital, y-axis, z-axis, and this is the px orbital. See, the electrons need not be represented here before hybridization. It is not an essential condition for before hybridization. I'm not going to show the electrons here. Now these two, this is the 2px orbital. These two will intermix. So 1s and 1p are undergoing hybridization. So this type of hybridization, you call it as the sp hybridization. We'll see the how the hybrid orbitals look when they undergo hybridization. They give rise to two equivalent, because 1s and 1p are intermixing, they give rise to two equivalent hybrid orbitals of energy, equal energy, and then shape. This is one hybrid orbital. It is called as sp hybrid orbital, and the other one, so this is the second hybrid orbital. This is also called as sp hybrid orbital. So 1s and 1p will undergo hybridization, give rise to two sp hybrid orbitals. So if you arrange them, they give a linear arrangement if both of them are combined. X-axis, y-axis, z-axis. So when these two are combined, you will find a linear arrangement. The angle between them is 180 degrees. Angle is 180 degrees, and this is called linear sp hybrid orbital. Now we'll see for chlorine. See, in chlorine, its atomic number is 17 and the configuration is 2, 8, 7. That is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3px2, 3py2, and 3pz1. So here the pz electron of one chlorine atom will overlap with one of the sp hybrid orbitals of beryllium, and the other 3pz orbital of another chlorine will overlap with the other sp hybrid orbital. So because here 3pz is having one electron. So two such chlorine atoms will form bond with the two sp hybrid orbitals of the beryllium and form two sigma bonds. Here beryllium in the hybrid orbital contains one electron each, and even the chlorine is also, that is the 3 pz orbital is also having the one electron. So you will have two identical beryllium chlorine bonds which are formed uh, by sp and p overlap. So here the strength of the bonds are same and the angle between them will be 180 degrees. Now we'll see the overlapping of the pz orbital as well as the sp hybrid orbital of beryllium and pz orbital of chlorine. Two such pz orbitals of chlorine will be there, which contains unpaired electron. Now another pz orbital of chlorine, they overlap with the sp hybrid orbital of beryllium, y-axis, z-axis, and then this is another pz orbital of the chlorine. So when these two they overlap with the sp hybrid orbital of beryllium, we have seen that sp hybrid orbitals are two, they are identical and they are combined, they appear as if they are in linear shape. This is the sp hybrid orbital of beryllium. So when these two chlorine pz orbitals, when they overlap along the internuclear axis, it forms a sigma bond, and that sigma bond is spp sigma bond, and the angle between them will be the 180 degrees. This is the beryllium sp hybrid orbital. Now we'll see the overlapping of the pz orbitals with the beryllium sp hybrid orbital. Now we'll see the overlapping of the sp hybrid orbitals of beryllium with pz orbital of chlorine. This is the x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and this is the sp hybrid orbital of beryllium, which is having 2 electrons in them, unpaired electrons. And now this will overlap with the chlorine. This is one of the pz orbital of chlorine, and this is another pz orbital of another chlorine, which are having unpaired electrons. These two orbitals overlap with the sp hybrid orbital along the internuclear axis. So along the internuclear axis, if they overlap, this leads to a bond called sigma bond, which is a strong bond. And the angle between them, between chlorine, beryllium and chlorine, is 180 degrees. The angle between them is 180 degrees. And the type of bond is sigma bond because of sp pz along the internuclear axis and sp hybrid orbital pz along the internuclear. So the two bonds are of same strength, and the angle between the two chlorines and the beryllium is 180 degrees. Now we'll see a 3D model of the beryllium chloride. See here you are finding that a beryllium is forming a bond between the two chlorine atoms. So the strength of the two bonds is equal. Now we'll see the second type of hybridization. The second type of hybridization I am discussing is sp2 hybridization by taking the example boron trifluoride. It is Bf3. Boron with its atomic number 5 will have the configuration as 1s2, 2s2, 2px1. 1s2, 2s2, 2px1. So in the ground state, you will find that in the 2s orbital, it has 2 electrons, and in the p orbital and px it will have 1 electron. So that means in the excited state, thus s electron will go to the py orbital. So under excitation, the electronic configuration will become as 1s2, 2s1, 2px1 and then 2py1. So 2s is having 1 electron, and then in the 2p orbitals you will find in px 1 electron and py 1 electron. So these s and p orbitals, they intermix, giving rise to the hybrid orbitals. So these are the hybrid orbitals, sp2 hybrid orbitals containing 3 electrons each, and you'll have one empty pz orbital, that means it which does not undergo any hybridization. So boron with its 2s and then 2px and 2py in the excited states, they are having one electron each. So these orbitals, they intermix each other, giving rise to three equivalent hybrid orbitals. 1s and 2p, that is the px and py, they are intermixing and then they redistribute the energy, giving rise to three identical orbitals. These orbitals are called as a sp2 hybrid orbitals. Why? Because 1s and then 2p are intermixing each other. So it will give rise to three equivalent hybrid orbitals. Three equivalent hybrid orbitals. Why? Because 1s and 2p are intermixing, giving rise to sp2 hybrid orbitals, and the number of hybrid orbitals are 3. Now we'll see the fluorine. Before going for fluorine, let us have a look at the three hybrid orbitals of boron by combining the s and 2p orbitals. X-axis, y-axis, and then z-axis. This is the s orbital, that is a 2s orbital of boron, and it will combine with the 2p orbitals x, y, z, and this is one px orbital. You will have another one which is a py orbital, x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and then you'll have another orbital. This is the py orbital. So 1s and 2p will intermix, otherwise they undergo hybridization, giving rise to three equivalent hybrid orbitals. Let us have a look at the three equivalent hybrid orbitals. So these undergo hybridization, giving rise to three equivalent hybrid orbitals. Z, this is one of the hybrid orbital. This is sp2 hybrid orbital. Another one, x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. See, this is another sp2 hybrid orbital. Now see if this is made to combine with this, otherwise when this is clubbed with this sp2 hybrid orbital, you will find that some angle of 120 degrees. Let us measure it. So if this sp2 hybrid orbital is made to combine with this orbital will be arranged in this way. So now we'll measure the angle. If at all this is placed here, you will find an angle of 120 degrees from here to here. See, this is 120. So an angle of 120 degrees will be there in between one sp2 hybrid orbital and the other sp2 hybrid orbital. Now we'll see the next hybrid orbital. X-axis, y-axis, z-axis. This is the third hybrid orbital. So if the sp2 hybrid orbital is made to combine with this, you will have an angle of 120 degrees like this. See, this is the angle from here to here. You are finding 120 degrees. So that means the angle between this sp2 hybrid orbital and this sp2 is 120, and with this sp2 and this sp2 120. That means altogether in between the three sp2 hybrid orbitals, you will find an angle of 120 degrees. This is the angle. It is 120. See, this is 120 degrees. This is the third sp2 hybrid orbital. So that means you will have 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals, and then when they are made to merge with each other, you will find an angle of 120 degrees between them. Okay, now I will just merge them and see. So now let us combine all the 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals and measure the angle between them. So combination of the 3 hybrid orbitals. So first we take the first hybrid orbital, sp2 hybrid orbital, and then we'll combine the other two with this. So this is one sp2 hybrid orbital, just now we have seen. And now if this is made to combine with the other one, see, the second sp2 hybrid orbital will merge with this. Okay, and the other sp2 hybrid orbital, if it is made to combine with these two, so it appears like this. Now we'll measure the angle between them. See, now let us measure the angle between these two sp2 hybrid orbitals. See, from here to here, see, here is the angle. So it is of an angle of 120 degrees. So from here to here, you'll find that the angle is 120 degrees. So in between these two hybrid orbitals, you are having an angle of 120 degrees. Now we'll measure the other one. These two. Okay. So from here to here, if you measure this, see, it is of 120 degrees again. Here to here. So it is an angle of 120 degrees. Okay. Now we'll measure the third angle. See, from here to here, it is of again 120 degrees. 120 degrees angle. Okay, so all the three are having an angle of 120 degrees. So when you combine these three hybrid orbitals, it will have a trigonal planar structure. Have a trigonal planar structure. Okay, now we'll see the fluorine. See, fluorine has the atomic number 9 and its configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. That is 2px2, 2py2 and 2pz1. So that means it is having one electron in the pz orbital. So fluorine, which contains one pz orbital, pz electron in pz orbital, will overlap with the 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals. So that means each fluorine will overlap with one of the sp2 hybrid orbitals. So such 3 fluorine atoms which are containing unpaired electrons in the 2pz will overlap with the sp2 hybrid orbitals of boron, forming a trigonal planar structure, and the molecule is boron trifluoride. The structure of the molecule will be trigonal planar, and we see the pz orbital, x-axis, y-axis, and then z. So one pz orbital will be there, which is having the one unpaired electron in it. Okay, so this is the pz of one fluorine. Such 3 fluorines containing unpaired electron in the pz orbital will overlap with the 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals, giving rise to boron trifluoride molecule with a trigonal planar structure. We'll see the planar structure for this. So this is the pz orbital of fluorine. Now we'll see the trigonal planar structure. Let us have a look at the trigonal planar structure of boron trifluoride. So this is the sp2 hybrid orbital of boron, 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals of boron containing unpaired electrons in each of them. and these three hybrid orbitals will overlap with the pz orbitals of three fluorines containing unpaired electrons in them also. This is one of the pz orbital of one fluorine which contains one unpaired electron, and this pz orbital will overlap with the sp2 hybrid orbital along the internuclear axis. So it gives a sigma bond. So the sigma bond is between sp2 and pz orbital. Now this is another fluorine pz orbital. This also contains unpaired electron in it, and then this will overlap with the sp2 hybrid orbital again. So this is also along the internuclear axis. So another sigma bond is formed, and this is the pz orbital of the third fluorine which is having the unpaired electron, and this will overlap with the third sp2 hybrid orbital along the internuclear axis. So again another sigma bond is formed. So altogether you are finding three sigma bonds which are of same strength, and the angle between them is 120 degrees. Okay, now we'll see the 3D model for this. See, now we'll see the 3D model of this. See, overlapping of the 2pz orbital of fluorine with 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals of boron is giving rise to a trigonal planar structure for boron trifluoride, and the three bonds are sigma sp2 p bonds. Okay, see, this is the boron, and these are the three sigma sp2 p bonds, and the angle is 120 degrees between them. So 120. So we have seen that all the angles are 120 only. Okay, so this is also 120 degrees. Now see, this is the 3D model for the boron trifluoride. See, this is a trigonal planar structure. So boron and then three fluorines, and we can say that the bond is a sigma bond and of type sp2p, because this, if you think that this is the boron which is a hybridized orbital of the boron, then it will have three sigma bonds with fluorines. So this is the 3D model. Now we'll have a look at the another example. Now we'll see the third type of hybridization, that is sp3 hybridization by taking example as ammonia. Say hydrogen which contains one electron in the s orbital, that is the 1s orbital, and the shape of the s orbital is spherical. This s orbital will overlap with the p orbitals of nitrogen. See, this is the s orbital which is having one electron in it. So if you see the nitrogen whose atomic number is 7 and the configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1 and 2pz1. So if we have a look at it, this configuration, we can say that the p orbital is having three unpaired electrons. So if the p orbital of nitrogen having three unpaired electrons overlaps with the s orbital of hydrogen, that is the three hydrogens, even the each s orbital is having unpaired electron. So such three hydrogens, if they overlap with the these three p orbitals, they give rise to three identical p-s sigma bonds, and the angle between them, that is angle between the sigma ps band, should be 90 degrees. But it was found that it is not the 90 degrees, but it is greater than 90 degrees. And in order to explain this discrepancy, it was said that nitrogen will undergo sp3 hybridization. So now we'll see the sp3 hybridization in this molecule, and let us try to uh, um, give the structure of ammonia molecule. See, now we'll see the three p orbitals and one s orbital, how they are going to hybridize. This is the s orbital. So nitrogen, one s orbital and three p orbitals, x, y and z. And this is one px orbital of nitrogen, another one py orbital of nitrogen. This is the 2py orbital of nitrogen, and the other one pz orbital. See, this is the pz orbital. So 1s and 3p will intermix with each other, otherwise they undergo hybridization, giving rise to 4 equivalent hybrid orbitals. 4 equivalent hybrid orbitals. Now we'll see the 4 hybrid orbitals, how they look. Let us have a look at the 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals. See, these sp3 hybrid orbital is formed when 1s and 3p intermix with each other. They give rise to 4 equivalent hybrid orbitals. So this is one of the sp3 hybrid orbital. Such other 3 will be there. Second one. This is the second hybrid orbital. And then third one, y-axis, z-axis. See, this is the third hybrid orbital. See the difference. And the fourth one, y-axis, z-axis. And this is the fourth hybrid orbital. So you are having 4 equivalent hybrid orbitals which are formed when 1s and 3p orbitals intermix with each other. All the 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals are identical. Now let us combine them. So if we combine them, we'll see how they look in the next slide. So they can be represented as the combination, because in the boron trifluoride also we have seen that the 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals, when they are combined, it has given rise to a trigonal planar structure. Now we'll see if 4 the sp3 hybrid orbitals are combined, how it looks. Now let us combine all the 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals and then measure the angle. The structure of sp3 hybrid orbital will be the shape of the sp3 hybrid orbital will be tetrahedral. We'll see the tetrahedral shape here. See, this is one of the sp3 hybrid orbital. It will combine with the other 3. This is the second one, and this is the third sp3 hybrid orbital, and this is the fourth sp. So when all the 4 are combined, so it looks like a tetrahedral shape. Now we'll measure the angle. I'll take the similar structure and then I'll measure the angle here. Say same x-axis, z-axis, y-axis, and now this is the similar shape. Now I'll draw 2 lines, one along this axis and the other along at the middle of the sp3 hybrid orbital. Among these two, I am going to measure the angle in between these two. Okay, so now I'll draw an axis passing through the one of the sp3 hybrid orbital and then one along the z-axis. Now I'll take the protractor. See, now if you measure the angle, see from here to here, you will find that it is back of the arrow. You'll observe that it is something about 110, but it is not exactly 110 here because of small lines. You cannot clearly see it, but it looks as if it is on 110. So, but it is not on 1. So the angle between these two sp3 hybrid orbitals is 109 degrees 28 minutes. You can say that. Okay, not by looking at the protractor, we cannot exactly measure the angle, but it was found that the angle is 109 degrees 28 minutes. So approximately we can say that the angle is, because it is at 110, we can say that it is 109 degrees 28 minutes. It was found practically. Okay. Just I am showing an approximate angle of 109 degrees 28 minutes to make you clear. Okay, so the same angle will be, you will find here also, same axis. So this is 109 degrees 28 minutes, and you will find this same angle will be present in between these two sp3 hybrid orbitals. Okay, so this is the other axis. So see, because one above the other here, I have made them combined. So that's why I have not measured the angle here. So the same structure I have taken here and measured the angle. So we have seen that it is 109 degrees 28 minutes. If not exactly, but to make you clear about the angle, I have shown you that it is at 110, but it is 109 degrees 28 minutes. Just to make you understand. Okay, now see 109 degrees 28 minutes. This is the tetrahedral structure. Okay, so now hydrogen, which is having the 1s orbital containing unpaired electron, such three hydrogens which are having unpaired electrons, they overlap with the sp3 hybrid orbitals of nitrogen containing unpaired electrons. So it can form three bonds. Why? Because three hydrogens are overlapping with the three sp3 hybrid orbitals. So it gives rise to three equivalent sigma sp3 s bonds. And the angle here we have measured that the angle should be 109 degrees 28 minutes if it is a tetrahedral structure. Now we'll see what will be the angle in ammonia, because it is undergoing sp3 hybridization. Will it have the same 109 degrees 28 minutes or not? Okay. So just now we have seen that the angle for a tetrahedral structure between the two sp3 hybrid orbitals will be 109 degrees 28 minutes. So once again I will measure it and then compare it with the angle of ammonia. So this is the structure. And the angle between see, in the previous slide we have seen the angle in between these two. Now I am showing the angle in between this sp3 and this sp3. See here, if you measure the angle, this is somewhere about 110 like that. So it is not exactly 110, it is just less than 110. So the angle between these two sp3 hybrid orbitals is 109 degrees 28 minutes. It is 109 degrees 28 minutes. Now we'll compare the angle for the ammonia. Why? Because even nitrogen is also undergoing sp3 hybridization, and then the structure should be tetrahedral. So if it is a tetrahedral, the angle should be 109 degrees 28 minutes. See, the sp3 hybrid orbitals, see in nitrogen, one of the sp3 hybrid orbitals contains lone pair of electrons, and the other three sp3 hybrid orbitals contain unpaired electrons. So these unpaired electrons, hybrid orbitals sp3 will overlap with the s orbitals of the hydrogen. This is the hydrogen containing unpaired electron. So this will overlap with one of the sp3 hybrid orbital. Similarly, other two hydrogens also overlap along the internuclear axis with the sp3 hybrid orbital. So this is one sigma bond, sp3 s sigma bond, sp3 s sigma bond, and this is another hydrogen with its unpaired electron overlapping with the sp3 hybrid orbital. So that means you are finding that three sigma bonds are present and one lone pair is there, which is not forming any bond because already it is paired up. So this is also an sp3 hybrid orbital which is containing a lone pair electrons, whereas these three are the bonded electrons, bonding pair of electrons, and the bond is sp3 yes sigma bond. So such three bonds will be there. So if you measure the angle, see, let us measure the angle. So now I'm measuring the angle in between these two. So along the axis. See here, see this line is 110. I think you are observing this in the transparent line, this line. This is 110, but the broken lines, they are not nearer to that. It is away from it. So approximately it is 107 degrees, we can say. So the exact angle for ammonia, the angle between the hydrogen, nitrogen and ammonia is not that having the tetrahedral angle. It is less than the tetrahedral angle because here you are observing that it is about 107. So the exact angle between them is 107 degrees 48 minutes. This decrease in the angle is because of, see, as there are lone pair of electrons in one of the sp3 hybrid orbitals, you will find repulsions between the lone pairs and the bond pairs. So because of the lone pair bond pair repulsion, instead of having an angle of 109 degrees 28 minutes, it decreases the angle to 107 degrees 48 minutes. So the shape of that ammonia is not tetrahedral, it is pyramidal. So the shape has changed because of the repulsions of the lone pairs and the bond pairs. And even the angle here is decreased from 109 degrees 28 minutes to 107 degrees 48 minutes. Okay. So this is the though it is undergoing sp3 hybridization, because of the repulsions you are finding like that. See, this is the 3D model of the ammonia. At the apex, you'll this cream color. This is the that is a hybridized sp3 hybrid orbital, but not participating in the bond formation, whereas these three are the bonds which are formed with the nitrogen. So because of those repulsions, you will find that the angle has decreased from 109 degrees to 107 degrees 48 minutes. Okay, now we'll see another example. Now let us take another example, water molecule, in which you find the same type of hybridization. So formation of water molecule. And you know that hydrogen, its atomic number is 1 and its configuration is 1s1. So that means in the s orbital, it contains one electron. This is 1s. And the shape of the s orbital is a spherical shape. This s orbital contains one electron. This is the spherical shape which is having one electron. And you know oxygen atomic number is 8 and its configuration will be 2, 6. That is, it is 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py1 and 2pz1. That means in the p orbital, it contains 4 electrons. among which 2 will be in px and 1 will be in py and the fourth one will be in the pz. So px is paired up and then py and pz are unpaired. So in oxygen, you are finding that two unpaired are there. So when these unpaired electrons, they overlap with the two hydrogens containing unpaired electrons in the s orbital. So they give rise to two bonds. Why? Because two hydrogens atoms are overlapping their 1s orbitals with the py and then pz. So they give identical bonds, that is sigma ps, sigma ps. Because these two py and pz are perpendicular, the angle should be 90 degrees after the overlapping. But it was found to be 104 degrees 31 minutes. So to explain this difference, otherwise this discrepancy in the bond angle, oxygen atom is said to undergo sp3 hybridization. Now we'll see the hybridization, sp3 hybridization in oxygen. Shape of sp3 hybrid orbital, just now we have seen in ammonia. See, it will have a tetrahedral structure. Why? Because 1s and then 3p orbitals are intermixing, giving rise to 4 equivalent hybrid orbitals. And we have combined them and we have got a tetrahedral structure. The same structure I am taking here. Y-axis, Z. So this is the shape of the sp3 hybrid orbital, which is tetrahedral shape. Okay, and we have measured the angle also. Again, we'll try to measure it. So this is the axis. We'll measure the angle in between these two. Already we have done this. Once again, we'll see this. So for a tetrahedral shape, the bond angle was found to be 109 degrees 28 minutes. So here you are seeing the 109 somewhere here. Okay, so it is 109 degrees 28 minutes. The angle between this sp3 hybrid orbital and this sp3 hybrid orbital is 109 degrees 28 minutes. So the same structure I'm showing here. So this is the tetrahedral shape, angle. See, whenever individual, that is a sp3 hybrid orbital, sp3, sp3, all of them are combined, you will get a structure like this. And I have taken the same structure and then measured for ammonia. So the same thing will be here also. Uh, that's why I'm not again explaining this. So this is 109 degrees 28 minutes. So this is the tetrahedral structure. Because see, we have seen in the oxygen electronic configuration, it contains 6 electrons in their outermost shell. That is 2s2, 2px2, 2py1 and 2pz1. That means there are two paired electrons. Among the 6 electrons, 2 are paired. That means 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals are there. So 2 sp3 hybrid orbitals get a paired electron and the other 2 sp3 hybrid orbitals get 1 electron each. And now these sp3 hybrid orbitals will overlap with the s orbitals of hydrogen. Because hydrogen is having 1 electron in the s orbital, so that 1s orbital will overlap with the sp3 hybrid orbital containing unpaired electrons. Okay, so two bonds are formed. Why? Because two hydrogens with their 1s electron are overlapping with the two sp3 hybrid orbitals containing unpaired. So they give rise to two sigma sp3s bonds. So the bond angle should be 109 degrees 28 minutes because of the tetrahedral structure. Why? Because for sp3 hybridization, the bond angle is 109 degrees 28 minutes. Now we'll measure the angle for water molecule. Now let us measure the bond angle in a water molecule by comparing with the tetrahedral angle 109 degrees 28 minutes. So this is the tetrahedral structure whose bond angle will be 109 degrees 28 minutes. So already we have measured this. Just I am taking this to compare the angle for the water molecule. This is 109 degrees 28 minutes. Now we'll see for water molecule. See, sp3 hybridization is there. So this is the structure for sp3 hybridization. And then in oxygen, already we have seen that two sp3 hybrid orbitals contain paired electrons, and the other two hybrid orbitals contains unpaired electrons. So these are the paired electrons in one of the sp3 hybrid orbital and the other sp3 hybrid orbital. Other two are having unpaired electrons. So these two unpaired sp3 hybrid orbitals form bonds with the two hydrogens containing unpaired electron in s orbital. So this is s orbital of hydrogen having one electron, and these two will overlap along the internuclear axis, giving rise to a sigma bond. So this is sp3s sigma bond. And similarly, this unpaired electron and with s orbital of hydrogen containing an unpaired electron will overlap. So this is along the internuclear axis. So this is forming another sp3s sigma bond. So two sp3s sigma bonds are there. Now we'll measure the angle, whether it is 109 degrees 28 minutes or not. See, yes. See, the angle from here to here, if you observe, this is 110. So here middle of it means somewhere it is 105. So that means it is not of angle 109 degrees 28 minutes, but it is less than 109 degrees 28 minutes, and it is still less when compared to ammonia, which was 107. It is in the middle of it. Somewhere it is 105 like that. So actually the bond angle was found to be less than the 109 degrees 28 minutes, and as well as less when compared to ammonia. It is 104 degrees 31 minutes. So why this has happened means because here two lone pair of electrons are there. So two types of repulsions you will observe. One is the lone pair repulsions, and lone pair bond pair repulsions. So greater lone pair repulsions, they result in the decrease in the angle, still less when compared to the angle in the ammonia. Why? Because there you are finding only the lone pair bond pair repulsions, but here you will find lone pair as well as a lone pair bond pair repulsion. So because of these repulsions, there will be a greater decrease in the bond angle from 109 degrees 28 minutes. So the angle has been reduced to 104 degrees 31 minutes. And the shape, you find it as an angular shape. Otherwise you can call it as a V shape. Most generally we'll call it as an angular shape. Now we'll see the 3D model for this. The bonds are sigma sp3s. This is also sigma sp3s. So two sigma sp3s bonds are formed. See, this is the skeletal structure for water molecule, two lone pairs, and then these are the two sigma sp3s bonds, and the angle is 104 degrees 31 minutes. This is the 3D model. See here, these are you can imagine that these are the two lone pairs of electrons, and these are the two bonded atoms, hydrogens to oxygen. So because of the repulsions, the bond angle has reduced from 109 degrees 28 minutes to 104 degrees 31 minutes. So like this we can see the sp3 hybridization for methane also, but I have taken only two examples to explain you about the sp3 hybridization. Thank you.